I was 100% wrong about Caleb.
Caleb's pass to DJ Moore was as good as you can throw a pass downfield.
My question is, Drake to me is the clear number one. Do you take Caleb or Bo number two if you're redrafting right now? 3, 2, 1, back at a new early time. We're releasing it earlier so we don't have to contend with the other knuckleheads yelling at the YouTube crowd. That was a strategic decision by Daniel and Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We have not. I know we're super late to the story. We haven't talked about collectors buying Beckett. In the meantime, since we haven't covered that, PSA also had that debacle with this Wilt PSA 10 rookie that's now a PSA 9, and there's a payout. We got that. I did want to actually talk a little bit.
That's the grade guarantee that you're referring to, right, Mike?
Kind of, but there's a limit on their website, so there's stuff like that I wanted to mess around with, so we've got that to talk about. I did want to share some card ladder insight on Cosmic and Top Scrum Basketball that released last week. I'm very curious there. I figure we probably ended with a little bit of football. So there's your opening segment.
And we have a guest today.
And we have a guest. Oh, yeah, Doug's here to talk some hockey, so there's your packed show. So after the intro, we just did a quick cut, which you're not going to see because our producing is unbelievable. And Danny then revealed he hasn't seen a Denzel Washington movie in 20 years. So what's the last one you actually saw?
I've seen a bunch of them, but we were just talking about American Gangsters, probably my favorite.
You've actually seen that. Have you seen it recently, or is that like a new movie to Danny? Like in your world, I know
that's one that if it comes on, I watch it. That's definitely, yeah. No, big fan, and as you mentioned, it's based on a true story, which I always find pretty cool.
One of these days, you're going to discover the movie Philadelphia. Great movie.
Oh,
it'll be
movie.
new to you, but when you come across it, you're going to love it.
Great movie. That little Springsteen, I saw you working there.
How dare you?
Gosh, terrible.
All right, well, I set the table. I've got a bunch of crap happening on text message, so I will be halfway absent, which some of you will like.
That's fair.
I'll let you guys go wherever you want to go. You want to go Beckett? You want to go the Wilt? What do you want to...
Yeah, I want to talk to Beckett. I know it's the oldest, but of course we filmed before it. But again, everyone who's crying foul and all this kind of stuff, and we know that there's someone who is a part of the government that's now asking for it to be looked into.
I forgot about. That's right.
I get that, but
Congressman Pat Ryan. Yeah.
Yes, P. Ryan, not
the P. Ryan. That's correct.
But can we honestly talk about this for a second, guys? Like, if you don't understand how the world and how business works, and this is my take, my opinion only, but in the last 18 months, if you see a constant decline, that they're slowly moving themselves deeper and deeper on the list, like, there's reasons that they're doing that. And if you don't think that there were maybe discussions going on to make sure that it doesn't look like a monopoly, you're foolish. Like, that stuff does happen. It really does happen. And so they get to a point where they can confidently say that they're nowhere near the top two in the grading space. It is CGC and PSA, and that's when the acquisition takes place. Like, that's what happened. Like, can we?
Yeah, I mean, so give me this. Because again, we've already gone over. Like, everybody's heard this already. The statement was collectors to acquire Beckett. They're gonna. It was very mirroring of the SGC announcement, where hey, we're gonna let them keep running on their own. They'll be their own independent operation, whatever. Again, we heard that with SGC, and SGC has really fallen off the map now, which stinks. So, as a collector, I know how business works. As a collector, though, you can't like this, correct?
Well, can I be honest? I'm looking to buy a card right now, a Holland 2019 Sapphire. Do I buy a BGS 9.5 today, or do I hold out for a PSA 10? And I honestly don't know what the market's going to reflect on those two cards.
Because I'll say this, SGC took a hit in resale, and I have more holders in SGC than anything else. SGC took a huge hit when the acquisition, about 6 months after. It wasn't immediate, but we did start to see it, and especially when Pete left. So do Beckett cards now tank, or does the legacy of Beckett and the subgrades and all that hold true? I actually think the resale value stays. I don't think it goes up or down unless we see. You think it stays, Joseph?
Absolutely. And then the other thing that you guys have to think about too is now in the United States you have both coasts covered with SGC formerly SGC, but PSA in Long Beach or Santa Ana, wherever they are, and then Florida, New Jersey. But now you're centrally located too in the Dallas area with having not only graders there, but you're going to have authenticators. Think about this, guys. It's way easier to assume someone and bring them into your program than to go out and hire and train all brand new graders and authenticators, right?
If you trust the company you're buying. No, I'm serious.
I would hope that someone would want to go into a business relationship or a deal by trusting that business that they're assuming. Like,
so hey, let me just push back then. I trusted SGC, and it's clear SGC was gutted and their employees moved over to PSA, and it didn't improve the process. I worry that that's the same thing. Like, yeah, you have more resources, so A, you gut them and take their people over, which we saw before. Does it actually help the return time? Or B, you let them continue to run on independently, which I'm not sure that's real. I don't know. I'm very much on the fence if Beckett's just going to die on the vine now.
I mean,
if PSA, should they change the people's slabs?
No, what? They didn't do it with SGC.
Well, if SGC ends up, I mean, what percentage is SGC down to now? Almost
it's way lower, but so just to give you some numbers, SGC and Beckett graded almost exactly the same amount of sports cards last month, about 35,000.
Which is nothing.
No, their peak was about 150,000, and that's a month. Their peak was about 150,000. So yeah, I guess here's my other thing, and I said this, and I don't want to spend too much time because again, we're super, super late on this. My other pushback is like there was real outrage, including me with SGC, because with SGC I was like, man, this stinks. I know they're saying it. Everybody was a little skeptical, but I bought in. I mean, you can. The recording was clear on our podcast. Hey, we think they're going to keep running. That's what they've said. Maybe it'll bolster it because SGC has marketing. It survived for a few months. If you look back at the numbers, it took a little while to fall off, but then it fell off. But SGC was thriving at the time. Like, year-over-year numbers were great. Beckett has been in a free fall. So I guess my number one thing is this. Everybody's outraged by the monopoly. Fine. If you want to be, I don't mind you being outraged. All the people outraged, though, like, I saw all these YouTubers make videos. None of these guys have been using Beckett anyways. So what's really changed, I guess? Like, I know everybody wants to just go after PSA for it, and they're a sponsor for us. We're not just going to sit here and go after them. We've been pretty upfront about that. But I'm also like, yeah, but who was using them? If everybody was this passionate and used Beckett as passionate as they are, that they just got bought, they're going to get put out to pasture, maybe they wouldn't have terrible numbers over the past 6 months to a year. That's where I come down on it.
And they've had an opportunity. They have had an opportunity. That's what's crazy. And Mike, to go back to your point about SGC, I mean, the reason that they were making such headway is because they were offering different promotions to drive and incentivize getting their slabs out there first to market.
And the return times were unbelievable.
Products. Yeah.
Correct. And that's why even like with us, people are like, why did you ever support SGC? Because like this week, we'll talk about with Cosmic, you could take Cosmic stuff, grade it, and have it onto eBay 3 weeks before a PSA holder. Yep. PSA still outsells SGC. There was never an argument there. But the time frame of the newest and the first to market almost always covered the gap. Now, you pull a $20,000 Ohtani auto, we told you then, it didn't matter that SGC was a sponsor. Graded with PSA. With Beckett right now, though, I have no use for them. I haven't graded with Beckett in forever. So, again, I don't love it. There's less diversity in the marketplace, but I don't like it.
Guys, Beckett had an opportunity to make some more, to gain some more traction in the space when they were starting to go with TCG and Pokemon and different types of gaming cards. And it's like they all of a sudden just, slam the brakes on that. And they decided we're not going to go anymore. Like they never moved their price. They only increased it. Like they never made any concessions to collectors at all to come and join them and to put those cards in a slab. Like it was ridiculous. I mean, we did see, I forget what card. I think it might have been a Wemby. There was a big Wemby that came through and it was in a Beckett holder. But for the most part, you're not putting it in a Beckett holder. You're not
And Joe, to your point,
correct.
They had management changes. They had ownership changes a couple times the last couple of years, and every one of them failed. I mean, that's mass failure for a company of that size.
Well, and that Beckett umbrella too, Danny. Underneath that, and I don't think that this was a part of it, but you have Southern Hobby. You have Leaf.
That's a great point.
That's not Southern Hobby, not a part of the sale at all, which is good.
But they never went after any of those pieces of it. Like Leaf Trading was a Beckett company too, under that umbrella of Beckett stuff. So, I don't know. I'm happy because you're going to bring on more graders. Because to be honest with you, did another submission, and the dates just keep pushing back on my app. It is wild to submit stuff and to see it outside of the 100 business day. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So when we discussed it a couple of shows back, if you are going to submit cards to grade, you might have missed the boat if you haven't submitted your baseball cards yet to have them for spring training or the start of the season. You might have already missed that boat.
I'm paying $40 a submission just to get it back in time.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, fair point.
Yeah, I mean, it's 45 to 70 business days, Danny.
That's ridiculous. My last thought on the monopoly is PSA already had 80% or 79%. So if you didn't think they were a monopoly before, they added, 1%, 2% of the market. I just don't think that's
I think Beckett was 4%.
Whatever it was.
Whatever it was.
It's not the difference in the monopoly. They had the vast majority before.
I don't disagree.
And this shouldn't shift it. If you thought it was before, it still is. And if you didn't, it's not.
Well, now you start to see this is another. Everyone's, monopoly, yeah, whatever. But you start to see other companies start to pop up. You see it in the Facebook group. Everyone's like, oh, have you seen these new degree? What about degree grading? I like the way these slabs look. So it is an opportunity for a smaller company to start to emerge. Because I think like HGA, didn't they just get bought by someone too?
Yeah,
well, CGC would be the next one.
And I won't. Like, that's the thing. I will not grade sports cards. Here's the other thing, too. Again, I don't love that the Beckett sale happened because I was hoping at some point Beckett would kind of rise as the number 2 like SGC was in sports cards. CGC numbers are huge overall. They're not in sports. Here's the thing, though. That is not going to happen now. I still... do I love all the moves PSA has made? No. And as a sponsor, they know that. We've talked off the record about this. However, even at the end of the day, if I have to grade cards today, there's only one option in my head, and it's PSA.
Listen.
And I don't like that they raised prices over the past few months. I don't like the return times are not as great. I don't like they've bought up the competition. Still, gun to my head, where do you send your cards? Personally, I still send them there. If somebody asks me, I get questions all the time in the group, or hey, I pulled this card, or emails, I pulled this, what do I do with it? I still have no answer other than PSA right now. So, and the congressman thing is weird to me, this Patrick Ryan. Maybe there's something there. I'm guessing there's not going to be anything made of it, but maybe there is. I have no clue. I'll tell you one thing, I don't love that it's making mainstream news that, hey, there's potential scandal with an industry leader. I think that's a bad look for the industry, period. I don't think there's any lasting staying power with that, but we'll see.
Here's the other thing.
By the way, clean up New York. Have you been to Manhattan? State's a freaking disaster. You're worried about PSA grading? How about you get absolute pit of America?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. So here's the other thing, too, and correct me if I'm wrong, but PSA does not really take on grading the booklet cards, right?
Yeah, that's almost always been Beckett. I don't think I've ever seen one. So
now, maybe that's what the ultimate move was, is they saw that they were missing out on grading booklets, and now they have... that nobody's talking about it. But I'll bring it up here first. Booklet cards, that's the main motivation.
What a donkey take. All right, we can be done with that. I do want to share one more just quick industry news
And we
thing.
have our guest whenever you're ready.
Yeah, 2 seconds, we'll get Doug in here as well. I want to talk hockey. This happened just the other day as well. This is wild to me. People started coming out. There was a PSA 9 Wilt Chamberlain, or 10 Wilt Chamberlain rookie, and then people started checking the cert, and all of a sudden it was a PSA 9. So you can see on Twitter, PSA came out with this again a couple days ago. Recently, a 61 Flair Wilt Chamberlain PSA 10 with the cert number was submitted for grade guarantee review by the owner of the card. Number one, who submits a 10 and is like, hey, double check that. I just want to make sure that's a 10. Yeah. That seems...
That's what Mike Baker's for.
Why would you do anything? I have the 10. That's all I care about. But okay. After review, it was determined the card should be graded a 9. The owner was compensated for the difference. Now, they also mentioned the difference in price is about $800,000. What's interesting is on their terms and service page, they say they only pay up to $250,000 for the grade guarantees. But there's some fine print in there as well. There's certain exceptions. Clearly, this was an exception. Now, number one, and I don't know when the card was originally graded. That's the one thing I would like to know. When was it graded at 10? Because if it's more than 5 years ago, there's nobody in the company that's involved now that was involved then. But, again, consistency is an issue here. Like, there's no way around that. I'm happy they paid out the $800,000. I just have questions about.
So what I'm hearing from you, Mike, is that there is going to be a card that has better eye appeal and is going to be coming out here
Latest
soon.
9, baby.
Yep.
There's going to be a 10 that emerges all of a sudden that looks better than what that card looked like. You could feel it coming, right?
But this is not the first time something like this has happened. The grades are changed on a semi-frequent basis.
But who sends a 10 back in? You have $1 million card.
That's just some guy being a schmuck. I mean,
maybe it was in the vault.
But even then, you still had to ask for him, I want this reviewed?
Well, that's just being an idiot. I mean,
it's just weird. I just have a lot of questions. I don't think we'll ever hear an answer.
And I'm surprised that PSA actually changed it because of the payout. It'd be real cheap to keep it at 10.
Yeah, but look, it looks like goodwill. It's goodwill like everyone's talking, oh, PSA took care of the customer. They stand behind their great. Like that's what it was, and it's great.
They got eviscerated in the comments. Again, at some point, we just need PSA out of the news, and they know this. Like at some point, I just want PSA out of the news. Like let's just get back to, hey, we're grading, we're killing it. Return times are down. Hey, we lowered the price. I'm glad they paid the guy out, even though in their terms it says $250. I'm glad they paid $800. Like that's a good move.
Yeah.
It still stinks overall that a card of that magnitude was not graded correctly in the first place. So
do the other Will 10s go up in value now?
I mean, there's one less on the board. That pop's got to be stupid low.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, man, I would actually like to know 10. Like, how many are there?
I thought originally that was the only 10.
No, there's multiple.
Okay.
I'll check card that, but I do think there's multiple. So. Yeah. All right, so there's kind of like your opening breaking news segment. A couple other things. I know Joe wants to talk WNBA for a second. I want to talk about a couple big releases, and Danny wants to talk about something from the 1950s that's timely, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk
Joe,
about...
Joe, you want to do... Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about Audi Crooks, who plays for Iowa State, women's basketball player. She just scored, again, another 40-point game yesterday. My wife, who is a member of Sports Cards Nonsense Facebook page, which, take it easy, everyone. But she was like, hey, I saw that someone asked a question about if these cards are worth anything. And she is on an absolute tear. She's the leading scorer in women's college basketball. She does have Bowman U cards, all different colors, autos, they're firsts. Some of them are getting graded now, but she's absolutely killing it. She won the Cy-Hawk game, which was the Iowa State Cyclones versus the Iowa Hawkeyes. But I know you don't really
Cy-Hawk.
Follow it. But
No,
Mike,
I'm in on the Cy-Hawk.
Okay, I know you don't really follow women's basketball. I mean, Danny has made a mention to Hannah Hidalgo, who is she's an absolute double. She's a monster. She plays for Notre
Hidalgo's
Dame.
niece, I understand.
Yes.
I'm with it. Don't worry about me.
So
I had 140 RBIs for the Astros in the early 2000s. I know about the Hidalgos.
Okay,
Don't
Richard.
worry.
He's got some great inserts too, late 90s inserts. I will say that too. By the way, he does. Came across one in the shop. But Audi Crooks, Mike, do you know anything about her?
No, and I'm content to not, but if you're insistent, go ahead. You have like 30 seconds.
I believe she's like 6'4". I mean, she's a post player with crazy good feet. And she's a thicker person. But she is just very, very nimble. And I believe her shooting, she's at like a 70%, her score, like her field goal percentage, which is
a thick, nimble girl in the post is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Correct, with a 70% shooting percentage. And
is she just bowling people over?
She does not look like anyone else out there. So it is hard for people to match up against her. And she truly is a force in the most like nicest way that I can say when it comes to the offensive side of the court. Like she just gets the ball down on the block and she doesn't miss. So even though we've talked about like sports and prices, I think this is someone that people should be buying because you do have a little bit of a runway to the women's Final Four and to just the national championship.
Does she have like pro potential?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. So we'll see her stuff start to come out pretty soon with the next Bowman Cup. Well, she's already out. You said in
She's
Bowman
probably the
first.
best pick in college with Betts having a bad year. So.
Well,
Really?
yeah.
Okay. I did want to talk.
Know what that is.
No, nor do I. Mookie Betts? Is that where?
No, Lauren.
Yes, Richard Hidalgo's the other.
Mookie Betts, of course. His mother
both
lives in
play in
Brentwood,
LA.
Tennessee. So, kind of a big deal. Hey, I did want to talk about this, too. We had a huge release week last week. On Wednesday was Cosmic Baseball. The box is on there. I mean, you can get boxes under $500 still, just to kind of give you an idea, though. I think my contention is that it's by far the best baseball product of the year. I've been very lenient to say that because, in general, I've been underwhelmed by almost everything in 2025. It's an 8-box case, as you can see. Here's the reason I like it, too, just kind of go on a little tirade about it. It's one of the only products of the year that's a higher-end product that is not autograph reliant. Like, you get 2 autos a case on average, 1 to 2. The other night we ripped a case that had 1 auto. It was a Dylan Cruz super auto, but there was not another auto. But the planets sell for stupid money. They came out with some new stuff this year. This Constellation, you can see like the Judge selling for $2,500. Mm-hmm. Constellation like 1 every 3 to 5 cases. Even the Ben Rice did dumb money. This is like another big. I think Supernovas are 1 in every 3 to 5 cases as well. I just like it. This is an insert from last year. Great picture there. It's called Stars in the Night Sky. This year they made it horizontal. They actually added color refractors of it as well.
Mike, how long before we start seeing it on eBay Live? Like if we could just go to eBay Live that they're selling the singles and not breaking the product. Like Like,
I mean, so that's our goal in January. Starting in January, we just inked our deal with eBay. My new goal is like stuff like this, especially. I want to rip it and then immediately auction off the singles because the market for some of this stuff, like the planets, stupid. We pulled at least one or two of these Mercuries this week, like, and especially with guys like Ohtani. We're actually selling one at DC Sports right now. I pulled the Black Orbit, I think it's called, numbered 1 of 10. It's a black refractor of Ohtani. It's up to like $3,000 and it ends tonight. But like with products like this, guys get crazy. This is one of the few products I PC. I have an autograph set and I have a Planet set of Brady. Like guys go nuts for it.
Like why I ask about the singles, like and having an opportunity to do something like an eBay Live for it, is because this past week you have Topps Chrome basketball that came out. You have Cosmic Chrome that came out. Like it's crazy to like if you were to even try to just do personal boxes, it's ridiculous, and you can't even get in
basketball. Like this stuff's $500. That other stuff, I mean, way more.
And
well, $500 and no auto guarantee, like no mem guarantee. I know there's some great inserts. I get it 100%.
Sure, but it's a tough one for personals. I agree. I would not like this is one, and there's some I skew big time to go personal. This is to me you go PYT breaks. Like I wouldn't even go randoms.
This product had a much higher readership on SI than other products that came out similar times.
Dude, Cosmic has an awesome following, and this year too. Like the fact. You added a couple, like this is the Planetarium. It's a super thick, like a 180 point card. That's a new one that's selling really, really well. I like it. I do like that there's some where you're not just chasing autos. Like for me, I get bored with like the same autos. Only other quick note on stuff last week. Dude, basketball is absolutely insane.
Dude, the inserts. The fact that there are so many awesome inserts in this product, it is crazy. Like, I could care less that the LeBron Super got pulled. I could care less.
Correct. No one cares. I agree.
Who cares, dude?
By the way,
some of the stuff that was coming out of this was just to see, because we did see a couple of guys in the shop, which, Mike, like we said, we didn't get any jumbos, but ripping through the mega boxes, ripping through the hobby and not seeing the same stuff over and over again, that was kind of cool. I will tell you that.
My biggest thing with this is the price was just brutal at the end. And again, Topps came out much lower on their website, but the secondary market, shops, breakers, like hobby boxes are still $500 to $600.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how you touch it. Breakers, the light boxes, those cases, as you can see here, they were pulled from most places. They shot up to like $2,000 a box. Well, I take it back. They were $10,000 a case, $6 case, whatever that comes out to, $1,750. It's a lot. But I will say the upside is wild. But to me, this is a gambler's product. You're buying this if you want to chase monsters, and you're okay being killed. Like we pulled a Cooper Flag red auto. It's probably going to do, I really don't know, 30,000, 50. I have no clue. But at the same time, you're spending $1,000 to $1,200 on the Mavericks and a break. So to me, Cosmic was like the cool collector set this week. Where like, hey, buy the team you want, get the stuff you like. Chrome basketball was a total opposite.
But Chrome basketball also had like the nostalgia of Chrome coming back, number one, and then people also buying to put it away. That was the other thing. And
even then, though, dude, but just to push back on putting it away at these prices, how do you put it away? Like that's
also in the hobby, baseball's got a soft spot.
What do you mean?
Meaning what?
I think baseball's more popular in the hobby than other sports. This is not news.
Oh, sure, but Chrome is different.
I don't think so. I think that's a false statement right there. I mean, I don't think baseball is as global as the NBA, to be honest. I know it's global,
sure,
but I think
breaking wise, like people were breaking.
Product is sold,
yeah. Like if you look at the Topps Chrome is an anomaly for basketball. The majority will not be anywhere near Topps Chrome. But like to your point, Joe, I will say the one thing they did good about it. And again, it's out of my. I don't like it. I'm not spending that kind of money.
Right.
I like that they have Bird and Brady. Bird, Bill Russell, Magic. You had all the vets in there too. I actually like that for the nostalgia factor.
But let's talk about the price too for a second, because that's everyone's. You're saying it's brutal.
I know.
Mike,
you're going to push back on Prism.
I know you got no, I'm not. I know you got solicited second wave.
Yeah, for Delight and for Hobby. I don't think we got any jumbo.
And Mike, that was a drastically different price than the initial offering.
Correct. We took it all because it's still way lower than market.
Correct. Yep. You have to.
Sure.
But let's be honest. What drives this price too? Like everyone, because we get into this argument all the time. The breakers and the LCS and all that kind of stuff. We're paying what we have to pay to have it on the shelves, number one.
I agree.
And number two, the demand drives it. Now, when I'm trying to put out retail SKUs like the value boxes and the mega boxes, I'm also up against Dick's House of Sports. I'm up against Walmart. If I told you the amount of people that came in this last week and they're like, you could not believe they're selling a blaster for $50 at Walmart. Lost their mind. They lost their mind about seeing that stuff. And you have to know it's coming. But also, we have to remember we're 5 years past COVID, 6 years past COVID. Like, things will go up in price. That naturally does. The cost.
But I can
milk
also
has
hate
gone
that.
up.
I can also, just to push back, I can also say that price sucks because it's super prohibitive to people.
And guess who also hates things like that?
My
5-year-old hates things like that. They stomp their feet. I get it 100%, but that's why there are outlets for you. And as someone who works at a shop, we tell people, go get the singles on something like this.
I get 100%.
If I want to take my kids to a shop and open up packs, I mean, if they pack it out or buy a box, it's a fortune.
Yeah, and that's what I don't like. You've lost a lot of that element of it, which I think sucks. Period. Like, it does. By the way, I don't care if you own a shop, a break, or whatever. That part sucks. I wish we could offer stuff lower. However, it doesn't suck when I'm like, well, I am going to offer it lower. I'm still going to sell at market pricing. So I understand I'm part of the problem, but there is something that was cool about back in the day. Hey, these boxes were $300. So many more people could buy it. Like, that's just, both can be true. I understand
here's
demand.
A tip for your LCSs. Break open blaster boxes and sell them by the pack that way, because you'll have a better margin and make it affordable. Boom.
There you go. Anything else before we throw it over? We're going to wrap up the show today with Doug from Nonsense on Ice. We're going to finish with a nice interview with him, finally talking some hockey on this. Anything else before we jump to that?
Yeah, we could talk about your Drake May having a phenomenal game last night. I know, Danny, it's not what we wanted to hear. It was also on the heels of the Lions with another debacle. But, I mean, Drake May continues to perform in prime time.
After his worst game of the season.
He's now the MVP favorite to me.
Yes.
I wonder what the Vegas odds are on that. I am curious. But last night, too, first time he went over 300 yards. I think he had 380, and he was clutch. Like, at the end.
His MVP moment was that little toss to Hunter Henry where he walked away. That was the Steph Curry shooting a three walking away.
And his almost unbelievable moment was the walk-off to Booty when he threw the 40, 50-yard pass. Yeah. Guy tackled the freaking receiver. I thought he caught the ball anyways. He didn't. Well, but, like, that would have been an awesome crowning moment. But, yeah, that was a huge win for them.
Did Bo Nix take a huge hit when he lost head-to-head against Danny's guy?
And not only lost head-to-head, I mean, look terrible. But, in my opinion, who cares? Like, you had to lose one at some point.
That's fair.
I do wonder what happens with the standings now. It's the only thing I'm not positive about is the tiebreaker between them and New England. If they both win out now, I think Denver's still the number one if they both win out. Like as of right now, just to share it real quick.
And real quick, what are the top three teams in the AFC?
In terms of going forward, or
going forward? New England, Denver, Jacksonville?
I still think Buffalo's right there. Buffalo is still as good as anybody in the league when Josh Allen puts his cape on. But again, like yesterday, very mediocre performance in a game they could have lost. Like to the Browns. That's how Buffalo's been. They are the greatest team in the world, and then they're a very average team. But to me, like if you go just off your top 7, if the road goes through Denver, that's still a crazy tough place to play. As of right now, the Pats would host the Texans. That's a tough game. I would love to see the Texans catch the Jags. I'd much rather have the Jags come to New England than Houston.
Also, I was 100% wrong about Caleb. By Caleb Williams, too.
Unbelievable. By the way, those two throws, the fadeaway throw to tie the game in regulation, and then that throw to DJ Moore, we were watching that live during the stream. And he almost led them back in the first meeting with the Packers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
If you go good.
And if you go right now, if you have to redraft the 2024 class, which is going to go down as a great class of quarterbacks, like Jaden last year was unbelievable. Like right now, there's a possibility you take Jaden 4. Yeah. Because there's so many concerns. Not for anything he's done on the field, but the health is a major issue with me.
Yeah. Caleb's pass to DJ Moore was as good as you can throw a pass downfield.
And the one in regulation was just as great. Like the fadeaway. My question is, Drake to me is the clear number 1. Do you take Caleb or Bo number 2 if you're redrafting right now? I think Caleb has a higher ceiling. I think Bo has a higher floor.
Are we talking about hobby or football?
I think it's the same answer. I think Caleb has a higher ceiling than both because Caleb has that crazy it factor that I haven't seen as much from Bo. Bo has a consistently very good factor.
But also, Mike, does Bo look different on the Bears with those weapons? Like that's where it looks a little different for me. But regardless, they're phenomenal, and you can see a very noticeable difference when you watch Drake May and his pocket presence. Because again, I said they were about to get rolled when they lost that offensive line,
and they lost the guy last night. By the way, their backup right tackle even.
Mike, the way he moves in the pocket and is able to release that ball down the field in the vision, because Stefan Diggs, he caught that great pass, which they pulled him out for some reason, even though he got up and he was fine. But dude, he's making guys look phenomenal, and where he's putting the ball, it's just like Caleb rolling to his left and throwing these darts. Like, dude, I'd be really excited if I'm a Bears fan, and even if I'm a Caleb collector, his stuff should be shooting through the roof. The thing that's going to hurt these guys going in the future, and you may say no, is the unlicensed stuff. I mean,
it may. It'll keep the pricing down. I honestly don't hate it, though, because I just complained about Topps Chrome Basketball pricing people out. The fact that these are unlicensed, maybe it makes their rookie stuff attainable. And, if you look at I don't have it up the screen up right now, but the Bears are the number 2 seed right now. And honestly, the NFC is pretty wide open. I don't think Seattle's a lock to win it. I mean, the Rams just got beat, but the Rams are there. I actually think it's kind of a fun year. I actually think it's going to be a cool year to see. So, let's go to Doug. Let's wrap this thing up.
Wait, if you bought Trevor 6 weeks ago, you made money. I just want to say that.
Actually, you haven't. I looked at his pricing. Trevor still has
over
barely,
6 weeks?
I will show you. Trevor has still barely moved. I think you could buy Trevor today and maybe make money. Dude, it's wild how his market has hardly moved at all. It's unbelievable.
Is that Joe's Florida theory?
No, because he came up with the most. Danny, how dare you? Joe's theories are ridiculous. Don't start that crap. Yeah, it is wild, though, that his pricing is still barely moved. I don't think people believe in Jacksonville.
I mean, he's put up 10 touchdowns in 2 games.
I understand. I still don't think they're going to win a playoff game. So, anyways, Duval. All right, let's wrap it up. We'll go to Doug, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Doug, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? You hear me?
We got you, Doug. How you doing, man?
Cool. Doing great. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well. Strongest voice in hockey, bar none. Best head of lettuce out there, too, for color commentary.
Oh, brother.
So glad he's here.
The Milk Fest is on. Good for you, Joe.
You can tell we're all wearing hats because we don't have the hair. So
I'm on a hair diet.
That's a terrible... Doug, the voice of the Florida Panthers. What a lazy intro by you two. I stayed out of the way for 30 seconds, and that's the crap I get. A head of lettuce and Danny saying yes. Pick up your slack, people. Get the voice of hockey joining the show, and I get you two schlubs saying nothing about it. Right, Doug, I apologize for them.
Mike, go ahead with your hockey questions since you're such a big fan, too.
No apologies. I'm just excited to be here. I'm just excited to be on the program today.
See? What a guy. Number one, Bobby Orr is the greatest hockey player of all time, but I would argue Wayne Gretzky is the greatest team athlete of all time. Do you consent to that take, or do you concur? Will you sign on?
I think Gretzky is the number one. I will tell you this, though, and it's been something I've talked about a lot, is that I think for a long time we were in this train of thought where it was in no particular order, a lot of times based on preference. You had Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, and Mario Lemieux kind of as the top 4 of all time. I don't think anybody would disagree with you on that, and I don't think anybody still will, but I think Sidney Crosby has entrenched himself as number 5 all time. I think he jumped Mark Messier, and I think he is number 5 all time.
Better than I don't follow hockey nearly as much as I used to. I used to be a diehard Bruins guy. Is he better than Ovechkin overall? Is that kind of widely accepted?
Ovechkin's, well, the numbers say it, the best goal scorer, or he or Gretzky, the best goal scorer of all time. But in terms of all-around game, and the fact that Sidney Crosby has had 20 straight, probably going to do it again, point-per-game seasons, it's borderline unfathomable that he's been able to do that. So you have that production combined with the all-around game, the 3 Stanley Cups. He's been a great ambassador for the sport. Like I said, I think we've gotten to a point where I feel comfortable saying that he is the 5th best player of all time. He's in that spot. And like I said, he's still playing at an elite level. So fortunate place for us to be as viewers of the sport, as fans of the sport, to be able to see this guy still doing what he's doing.
Oh, well, Bobby Orr, 100 points as a defenseman. Pretty good. So anyways, that's fine.
Joe's got some real... Yeah, go ahead.
But that's also... Sidney Crosby had some setbacks, too, with injuries. And he was on the verge of, I mean, those concussions were pushing him to the break of making a business decision, right? So for him to be able to bounce back and do all this stuff at a high level is absolutely insane, Doug. So like, I'm 100% on board with you. The next most important question that we have to hear or ask, and this is to a Panthers enthusiast and play-by-play guy, is when is the opportunity for the Maple Leafs to hoist the cup? When is that going to come ever?
Well, that's an interesting one because I think they are underachieving based on where a lot of folks would have put them. We have a new Nonsense on Ice coming out tomorrow, and during that episode, I did say, even though they are where they are right now, I just have a hard time believing that team won't have a seat at the table when the playoffs come around. They're going to have to put together a heck of a second half to be able to make that happen, but I just think they have the horses to do it. We'll wait and see how things go. That being said, they haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967. The last time the Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup, there were still 6 teams in the National Hockey League, so it has been a long time for Toronto. I don't know that it'll happen this year, but hey, what's crazy about it, and I think why I tend to look at that team the way that I do and have maybe a little bit more faith than a lot of people do in them putting together a second half and earning a playoff spot, is that during the playoffs last year, they pushed the Panthers to 7 games. They pushed the Panthers as far as anybody did during that second straight Stanley Cup run. And to be honest, there were a couple instances in that series where it started to look grim for the Panthers. The Leafs had them down 2-0 at one point in time. The Panthers had to win game 3 in overtime to kind of change the course of the series. So in seeing that, I feel like I have some respect for the Maple Leafs because I've seen them push the Panthers to the brink going back to last year. Austin Matthews and company, they have a great collection of talent there, but like I said, it's going to take a lot for them to put it together and make the playoffs. I still feel like they're going to get there, though.
So let's toss this to the card market then, Doug. We're kind of, about a third of the way into the season, right?
Yeah,
roughly?
Close. A little more than a third. The schedule's so condensed this year, we're going to hit the halfway point in a crazy short period of time because obviously nobody's really playing in February. We've got the Olympic break in February, so the schedule is incredibly condensed. So it's flying by right now.
Yeah, so it gets weird. Like, again, I don't follow hockey a ton, but I know a few years ago when we had the last Winter Olympics, the spike of guys who stopped play and went over and played for their country, and like that, I didn't think that'd have any effect, but it was almost like a World Cup effect. You went over and killed it on that scene, your card started going nuts. So I am curious, like for the audience, who are some guys you say, hey, they're going to go play for their national team, you think they'll perform well, and there's a buying opportunity for people? Anybody jump off the page?
So I think there are a lot of guys like this, and if we're going to look at how you could maybe approach buying singles this time of the year, for example, if you look at the rosters, if you want to look and do some homework and maybe make some selections, who do I think is going to make a deep run? The USA and Canada are going to go into this thing as 2 of the top dogs, no doubt about it. And I think the dream scenario for a lot of folks here in North America would be to see those 2 teams go head to head for a gold medal. That being said, the NHL players haven't been over to the Olympics since 2014. So it's been a long time coming for this. And that's why I think that just in general, you're going to have a lot of eyeballs maybe on this tournament. International competition does that. You're going to have a lot of eyeballs on this tournament that maybe aren't on the National Hockey League day to day. And there's no doubt in my mind that is going to translate to the card world because people are going to see some of these guys potentially have, breakout performances, clutch performances in the Olympics and take note. And especially if it's one of the North American guys, if it's somebody from Team USA or Canada and they go on to win a gold medal, I think that could absolutely positively affect a player's card market. I think if you're looking at Team USA, I know there's some bias for me when I talk about this, but the Kachucks are going to be front and center. You'd think Matthews working his way back from an injury, so still a little bit of wait and see there, but assuming there are no setbacks and everything's good, you figure he's going to be right front and center along with his brother Brady, and both incredibly charismatic guys and 2 guys that everything they do in the sport is interesting. Even when they make a routine play, when Matthew and Brady do it, it just is interesting. It jumps off the television screen. I think people gravitate toward those guys. That's why it's a couple of the first names that I would mention. Connor Hellebuck, assuming he's the number 1 goaltender, he's kind of hit that point. In his career, he's won multiple Vezina trophies. He's the goaltender for the Winnipeg Jets. He's a Michigan native. He's really accomplished everything that you possibly can except win a Stanley Cup. If he's able to backstop Team USA to a gold medal, I think that would be a huge feather in his cap, if you will. So I think if you're looking at it from the perspective of the Americans, those are a few players to watch. Obviously, Austin Matthews, he's one of the most gifted offensive American-born players that there's ever been. If he puts together a big tournament, that's another name to watch. But you look at the other side as far as Team Canada goes. This is going to be our first time getting to see Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby as teammates. The last time that the NHL players went to the Olympics, Connor McDavid wasn't in the National Hockey League yet. So you're going to get to see those two guys as teammates.
He was like 11 years old.
He would have been a year shy of his draft year at that point in time.
Dang. Okay.
So
yes. By the way, speaking of ignorance, real quick, just to interrupt you. Am I the only one here that didn't know NHL guys hadn't played since 2014? No, I just assumed they played every year of the Olympics. I had no clue.
I believe that was the last. Was that when Oshie in the shootout?
Yes. TJ Sochi.
He came to the Predator.
Yeah.
He came to the Predators for a little bit. I remember that. Yeah. Okay. I missed the last two Olympics after that.
That was a huge television event to watch.
Yeah.
That was big. I mean, Doug, we're talking about big cards, big names, and if you haven't already bought, you're kind of late to the party. But the fact that before the rosters are finalized, but Macklin Celebrini on the verge of, and he's probably going to make the roster, right? For him to be able to play and to be one of those guys that you can plug on almost any line and he impacts everyone around him. That's insane, right? And you can go out there and you can look at his cards now, but like I mentioned, if you're trying to buy Celebrini, you're late to the party. We just sold in shop one of his cards from the Cup. It was a triple relic card, and he was one of 3 players on the card, and it sold for $150.
Brag about it.
Yeah, well, big guy.
He's a special player. There's no question about it. To do what he's doing at 19 is it kind of is mind-boggling. But I saw him play the first time I saw him play last year. He was an 18-year-old rookie, and what caught my attention was not necessarily what he was doing with the puck on his stick, but the little heads-up plays, the high hockey IQ type of plays that he made away from the puck. It just shows you what a student of the game this guy is and the work ethic that he has. He's going to be a special player for a long time to come. I see where you'd say maybe you're late to the party if you haven't picked up any Macklin Celebrini cards yet, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm that confident in what his future is like. I really think there are still bargains to be had if you're going to sit on the card for 10 years. I just think that he's in that tier of being a special player with that kind of promise. To do what he's done as a 19-year-old is borderline unbelievable. So he's up in the top 5 in NHL scoring, has been all season long, on a team that is overachieving, I'd say. They're kind of on that playoff fringe right now, and if they were to get there, they certainly would be in the playoffs ahead of schedule. If they miss the playoffs, I'm not sure anybody was thinking they would even be in the conversation this year, and they're doing it on his back. There are a lot of good players coming for the San Jose Sharks. They've been picking pretty high up in the draft for a few years, so they've moved off some veteran guys, made some trades, accumulated some assets, so they do have some good players coming. But Macklin Celebrini, he's that number one center that every Stanley Cup winning team, you need to have a guy like that. You look back the last handful of years, Colorado has Nathan McKinnon, the Panthers have had Alexander Barkov, the Lightning have had Braden Point, Jack Eichel in Vegas. Every team that's won the Stanley Cup, they're all different players, but every team's had that top-line workhorse center that can chew up big minutes, that can play against the other team's best players, that can play in every situation, that can go against the other team's best guys but still produce. San Jose has one of those guys that they're going to be able to build around. Every team wants one. There aren't enough of them to go around for everybody. They've got one of those guys. I'm confident in that. So, yeah, if you have Celebrini cards, like I said, I know they're selling for big money right now, but if you don't feel like selling it, I can't disagree with you on that decision either. I think the future's that bright for him.
So
that's kind of like the opposite of with Bedard, though, right? Because that was the other big name. Again, hockey only hits my radar when it's huge. Connor Bedard seems like the opposite. Came in with all the hype in the world, and again, just from like a total outsider looking in, it's like, man, this guy, it's almost like a Zion type. Like he came with all the hype. I'm sure he's better and he's been more healthy. But is there any hope for guys with his stuff left?
I wouldn't move any of my Connor Bedard stuff. Now the thing with Connor Bedard, he came in with the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks were down at the bottom of the standings. It was easy to overlook Connor Bedard, and I think he kind of got unfairly overlooked in his first couple of seasons. He still had over 150 points over his first 2 years as a teenager on a team that was down at the bottom. And that would be why you didn't hear too much about him. He was probably, maybe people expected more. Like I said, there's not much more that a teenager was going to be able to do in that situation. He had a little bit of injury. He's actually out right now, but I'm not sure it's going to be anything incredibly long term. He's out the rest of this month. Sounds like he'll be reevaluated, but I don't think it would be anything long term. And like I said, certainly nothing that would make me panic sell my Connor Bedard cards. I'm a huge believer in him too. I think the difference with Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini, Connor Bedard might actually have a little bit more flash in terms of the way that he can produce. I think he might have a little bit more of that bring you out of your seat type of element to his game. But both of these guys, like I said, you can't go wrong. Right now, I just crunched the numbers, but the Bedard Young Guns are selling a little bit less than the Celebrini ones are now, which is kind of understandable, I think, for a few different factors. But the Bedards have actually gone down a little bit since this injury happened about a week or so ago. Like I said, I wouldn't panic sell my Connor Bedard cards at this point. I do think the pop is lower on the Celebrini Young Guns, the PSA 10s compared to the Bedards, but I've got to think part of that is a lot of that 24-25 stuff might still be getting ripped. A lot of it is probably in transit to PSA or sitting at PSA right now because Celebrini's had such a good start to the season. I would imagine those pop numbers start to even out a little bit more as time goes on.
Doug, I want to look at the other end of the career. Guys going to the Hall of Fame. You talked about Crosby, and when you buy cards, you're looking for a runway moving forward. So whether it's the young guys we've talked about or guys who are going to get into the Hall, who should we be looking at that might be undervalued, but you think is going to be a Hall of Famer?
So I think the first one that comes to mind, because I did a little bit of a comparison on my show, maybe at some point in the last few weeks, but I crunched the numbers between a Celebrini PSA 10 Young Gun rookie and a Nathan MacKinnon BGS 9.5 Young Gun rookie from back in 2013. And what I said then was it all just depends on what kind of buyer you are. If you're somebody who wants to play the long game, wants to speculate, you want to get the next best thing, I get where you might go for the Celebrini, even though it probably costs at this point, I got to think, maybe not quite double what the MacKinnon did. And the reason I was using the BGS 9.5 as the comparison on the MacKinnon, it was 2013. I think back then there were more BGS 9.5s back then. A lot of people were sending that card to Beckett back in that era. But Nathan MacKinnon could walk away from the NHL tomorrow and he would have a plaque in Toronto as soon as the required wait time for the Hall of Fame elapsed. He is as explosive an offensive player as there is in the National Hockey League. He's got a Stanley Cup on the mantle. He's got a lot of prime years left. He's going to be on Team Canada, so he's going to have some opportunities to continue to get a lot of eyeballs his way. We're in a really good spot, like I said, with the National Hockey League. We've mentioned Bedard and Celebrini and some of these young guys, and hey, credit to scouting, credit to player development, credit to Upper Deck, because the rookie card classes that we've seen these last few years have actually been loaded between what this year looks like it's going to be, 24-25, the 23-24 class before that. But the league's in a great spot because you have players like McKinnon, McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, guys like that who are in their prime but are future Hall of Famers. And then we have a lot of what I would almost call legacy players who are guys that have that Hall of Fame status already set. That legacy is built, but they're still producing at an all-world level. And Crosby and Ovechkin are obviously right in that conversation, but you take it a step further, and a guy I get to watch every single night, Brad Marchand. I know if you're not a Panthers fan or a Bruins fan, he's probably gotten under your skin. There you go. Yeah, Gio, you know Brad. So,
dude, such a punk, by the way. If he's not on your team, you hate his. As soon as he left, I hated his guts.
Well,
he's such an agitator. It's great.
What I was going to say is, I think if you're a fan of the 30 teams that aren't the Panthers or the Bruins, he's probably gotten under your skin at some point in time just because of how he plays. If you're a fan of the Panthers or the Bruins, there's a good chance you absolutely love the guy. because he embodies everything that you'd want and, how you should go out and go about your business every day. And I also think that over these last few years, because he's gotten into this stage of his career, it almost feels like he's almost endeared himself even more to fans universally and the media, because he's one of those guys you can't help but watch how he plays and just see that it sounds cliche, but it really is the 110%. He's emptying the tank every time he's out there. He has such a unique skill set. And then after the game, when he gets on the mic, when he gets at the podium, you're going to get something interesting. You're going to get something thought out. And then away from the rink, he is, like I said, if you're not a Panthers or a Bruins fan, maybe you have a hard time processing this, but away from the rink, he is one of the most down-to-earth, just regular dudes you'd want to meet. That's why I think you're going to see maybe a little bit of Brad Marchand love in the hobby as time goes on here too, because you can't help but now look at the accomplishments. He's solidified himself here as an all-timer and a surefire Hall of Famer.
One of the most punchable faces in the world too, by the way. If you don't like his team, oh man, that little dude.
To also kind of link to what Brad's done going from the Bruins to Florida, which has been great with Bark going down early on in the season, right? I'm in Phoenix. Now, we've lost our hockey team. We had a great hockey market in my local LCS. We're direct with Upper Deck, and it's slowly started to die, right? Because people aren't in there to see their team. How does the change when they go from being having longevity with the Bruins down to now a Panther? And because I know I'm seeing it, like Logan Cooley stuff, right? I could almost not give his stuff away in his rookie year as a Coyote, and now he's a part of the Mammoths, right? And before he got injured, he was on fire. Like his stuff probably, I bet it was close to almost 7 to 10x his rookie stuff. For $35, you could get Cup rookie autos of Logan Cooley in the Coyotes uniform, and then he's killing it. And his market is just going up even more and more. And I know there's a rabid fan base in Utah, and they want to have like guys that they can love, and getting their first young guns with guys in their uniform is big. But do you foresee Marchand's first Panthers card kind of going through the roof, his first Panthers autos starting to go through the roof?
I think there is going to be some buzz for that, because I know, just as somebody, a way that I sample a lot of the new hockey products is I grab the Panthers in a break. That's the way I try a lot of the new stuff. Is I'll grab the Panthers in a break, I'll get some cool stuff, and then I'll get a chance to see the other cards, kind of filter through it and everything like that. I know I would love to get one. I'd love to see one of those. I'd love to get some cool Brad Marchand Panther stuff. I think there's absolutely going to be some buzz for that. And I think, tying it back, I know an example that comes to mind that'll resonate with all of you, especially Mike, but there was some buzz with Brady first-year Bucs stuff because he won the Super Bowl his first year with the Bucs. There was something to 100%. That. Brad Marchand goes to the Panthers at the deadline last year and then winds up playing at a Conn Smythe level, part of a Stanley Cup champion, was hugely instrumental in it, and then winds up signing an extension to stay with the Panthers. So it wasn't as if he just went somewhere. I'm trying to think about, even though any Gretzky card is a great card, but and there aren't many Gretzky St. Louis Blues cards out there, but a lot of people probably have to be reminded that Gretzky played for the St. Louis Blues at one point in time. There are a lot of examples like that of guys who went someplace as a short-term rental. I think in 15 years we're going to look at Juan Soto Padres cards and have to remember how did that happen? When did that happen? But with a situation like Brad with the Panthers, it's not going to be like that. I think this is going to be viewed as a productive next chapter in his career.
My Boston guys do it right. Ray Bourque leaves, wins a cup with the Avalanche. Brady leaves, dominates, and then Marchand. Hey, I do want to actually touch on one other thing, Doug, before we jump. The numbers in hockey are like unbelievably hobby numbers, small compared to the other sports. And like the best example of this is Gretzky. Like if you put in on Card Ladder just Gretzky patch autos, highest card sold ever. A 1-of-1 game-used shield sells for $145,000. A Jordan shield selling for $10 million. A Brady shield selling for $1 million. In whatever the other sport is. And an Aaron Judge logo man is going to sell for more than this. Like we saw the Skeens debut patch sell for $1 million. I've almost started to get to the point where, like, apples to apples, Wayne Gretzky was as good as his sport, if not better, than Brady's my favorite athlete. I think Brady's the greatest football player ever. I would argue that Gretzky's accomplishments in his sport are better. Like, there's no number 2 in hockey. Gretzky just seems to be far and away the best. I look at this stuff, and again, we're talking $20,000, $30,000 cards, but even if you scroll down to like some of this lesser stuff, like he has some unbelievable patch autos that have sold in the last year. Dude, a duel out of Ultimate Collection. Upper Deck Ultimate Collection is as great a product, back in the day especially, as I've ever seen. There's a dual game-used patch auto of him and Mario Lemieux that sells for $7,500. Is there any point in recent time where you think to yourself, hey, at some point, like, guys are going to start really migrating and moving over to hockey, where we start to see them close the gap a little bit?
I think you absolutely could, and I think if you're looking at it just from the perspective of the Gretzky stuff you're pointing to, hey, I'd be lying. I'm probably one of a lot of people. I have a Gretzky save search on my eBay login. There's stuff that I check every single day. There's stuff I'm always looking at, and I have seen a bit of an uptick as far as that stuff's concerned. There definitely has been. There's been a segment of the hobby that's taken note that his stuff was and probably still is, severely undervalued in some cases. But I think part of it too, and this is kind of going off on a little bit of a sidebar, but with hockey, I think it affords you some advantages too. I think unlike the other sports, in hockey, you have a bit more runway and a bit more opportunity to do your homework, do your research, do your own scouting, if you will, and then kind of look and see which players do I want to get, whose cards do I want to buy. In basketball and football, especially because the players are playing collegiately stateside, so much publicity is, there's so much hype about the draft. And as we know in the hobby, hype outsells results. And that's why you have so many of these guys that are selling, before they even play a game, they're outselling bona fide superstars. And in a lot of cases, their stuff is selling for more before they've even played a game than it probably will ever. For 90% of guys,
ever again.
It sells for 100%. More before they even play a game than it'll ever sell for. In hockey, unless it is, obviously you had hype with a Bedard or a Celebrini because they were number 1 picks and they came in with kind of that generational tab thrown at them. I think in hockey you do have a little bit more time and runway to get in on the ground floor on some players that maybe you don't have in the other sports, especially if it's a guy who's coming from overseas or something like that, where a lot of folks out there just haven't been familiarized with the players. So I think there are some opportunity. Leo Carlsson plays for the Anaheim Ducks. He was the number 2 pick the year that Bedard went number 1. And he was, in any normal year, the top 3 picks from that draft could have been number 1 picks. It was that loaded of a draft. Leo Carlsson went number 2. There were a lot of people who came over to hockey that year just to chase Bedard. And I would tell you might want to go back in all that stuff you ripped and see if you have any Leo Carlsson stuff. Because while it hasn't hit Bedard levels, Leo Carlsson is on an Anaheim Ducks team that is making big strides. They look like they might be ahead of schedule in their development, could be a playoff team this year. Leo Carlsson has been one of the top point scorers in the NHL this season, and his cards are selling at a fraction of what Connor Bedard cards are. Now, I say at a fraction, those Leo Carlsson cards, a PSA 10 Young Gun, for example, has at least doubled, maybe a little bit more than that since the start of the season, but you're still looking at a card that's probably selling for a third of what a Connor Bedard PSA 10 Young Gun sells for. And like I said, this was a guy coming in who would have been a number 1 pick in a lot of drafts. He just happened to come out the same year Bedard did, so he happened to go number 2 to Anaheim, but they're exciting. They're turning the corner. It's just an example of a guy that, like I said, I think you have a little bit more runway to get in on some of these guys. He's a prime example of it, that maybe in another sport you might not have that ability. And the last thing I would say, and kudos to Upper Deck, because Upper Deck has made a lot of products really, accessible, and has allowed them to be, at prices that are pretty manageable in comparison to similar things in other sports. I mean, Upper Deck Ice and Credentials, you can get on-card autographs out of those products, and you're looking at maybe $120, $140 for a hobby box, and you're getting an on-card auto and, great.
You're not touching that in baseball, basketball, football.
Yep.
Like that just so here's Leo. Yeah, like the last year, it looks like his average is like $100 or under $100. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, it definitely makes it a little easier entry point for guys coming into hockey, which is nice.
Doug, real quick, how much does it hurt, like, Hall of Famers or even big name players, it seems like in hockey, if you're not one of the players on an original six or a blue blood team, it's hard to. I mean, they just don't have the following. Even though the facts are, you have Tampa Bay, you have Florida, who have won countless Stanley Cups and have brought so much hype to the state of Florida when it comes to hockey. And it just seems like their guys are not selling like Red Wings players, Blackhawks
Joe, do you
players.
think that's more than other sports? Before Doug answers, like I'm curious, because like in baseball, we've overcome that. Like Wander, when he was the guy, he was with Tampa, you know? So like we don't see it as much other.
I mean, still Yankees
People
players
in Florida
and
are not always native, though.
No, but Yankees and Dodgers are going to outsell. You know, you could have a mid-level rookie on a Yankees or Dodgers roster that's going to outsell a Guardians player who's good. You're going to have Cowboys outsell 49ers, they outsell the Lions. Like it happens. Like, but in hockey, it's glaringly obvious. Like Demidov, he's solid, right?
Really,
he's a Canadian. And for the Canadians to have a top young gun, I mean, it wouldn't matter
That's
if
like
he
the
was
Yankees, right?
an average player. Yeah, Mike, he's going to sell through the roof. Like, because the Canadians, that whole fan base is just starving for the next superstar, right? Like they had Cole Caulfield, like,
so you think it's more of an issue in hockey, though? Like, you think the small market team... Because, like I said, there's a little bit of a bump with the Yankees or a Dodger, but, like, I would also... And even in the NFL, but I would also push back. Like, Trevor Lawrence, most hyped prospect ever, went to Jacksonville. Joe Burrow went to the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, we have overcome that in a lot of other sports, but maybe not yet in hockey as much.
And I don't think that the hockey international market is as big with cards as the baseball international market.
No, nothing is as close to... I mean,
when you say
basketball and
international,
baseball.
you mean, like...
North America.
Eastern European countries, really. I mean, you're not talking like the Asian market outside of Russia. Like,
Are the Russians buying hockey cards? Is that what? Is Putin over there just loading up?
I don't know if eBay ships to Russia. To be honest, maybe
Boycott him. That's fine. Okay.
A handful of different directions to go off what you just said. Answering a few of those, Ivan Demidov, who you mentioned, he's the number one young gun chase in Series 1 Upper Deck. Legitimate superstar potential with him. The ceiling is that high. And again, part of what makes Upper Deck Flagship, for example, such a great buy. You can get a hobby box for like $120. You're getting 6 young guns in every box. If you get the Demidov, you're paying for your box. It's that the cost of entry is really user friendly and really manageable. What you mentioned about the different markets, I do think you have that in every sport. I do think, for example, the Canadians haven't won a cup since '93, as I mentioned already. The Leafs haven't won one since '67. I do think if one of those two teams or both were able to get over the hump and win a Stanley Cup, I think the players that were responsible for that would kind of go into a different stratosphere in terms of their mystique and their stardom. If Montreal is to win a Stanley Cup at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, whenever, and Nick Suzuki is wearing the C on his jersey, and he's the one to go out and get the cup from the commissioner, and he hoists it, will put him onto a different level as far as one of the most rabid fan bases in the NHL is concerned, Montreal, and that'll put him into a place in hockey history, no doubt about that. You mentioned things down here. I do think in some ways, there is a lot of regionalization. Like, there's been a team from Florida in the Cup final 6 straight seasons. Tampa Bay won 2 in a row and then lost one. Then the Panthers lost in a final and then won 2 straight. So you've seen the buzz grow down here, for example, just to point to that. Like I said, I do think maybe there's a lot of the regional fan bases. Maybe that's part of it. But I think the other element of that, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this, but I do think that there's, like I said, it's the different regions obviously flock to it in different ways. I do think, though, this is what I was trying to put into words. I think hockey is more collector driven than maybe some of the other sports
Agreed.
are. I think that goes
1,000%.
along with what I was going to say about like the Leo Carlsson cards, for example, and why maybe you have a little bit more time to buy into certain players. I think hockey is more collector driven, whereas clearly basketball and football, for example, the hype is what drives it. And naturally, when something's collector driven, you're going to have your different segments of collectors that flock to different things, whether they collect Hall of Famers, whether they collect vintage, whether they just collect their team or a certain player that they follow. So I think that's going to be the first driving force. And then as you have players that kind of transcend that, then I think you have a lot of people who say, hey, I might be collecting, I might be a huge Chicago Blackhawks collector, but hey, the Panthers have won a couple of cups in a row. Team USA has a shot in the Olympics. Maybe I should go add a Matthew Tkachuk card to my collection or something like that. I think you might have a little bit more of that. I think a lot of people start from the perspective of a collector and cast their net out that way. Then maybe in football or basketball where it's, hey, this might be the next guy. Let's just go get his stuff.
Yeah, just to flip it.
Danny, did you want to ask your question about Gordon Bombay, if you think he's a true Hall of Famer?
No, I got that.
He averages a
covered.
goal every 3 seconds if you pay attention to those ridiculous stats they lie about.
He did a heck of a coaching job with District 5.
Yeah. Heck of a job managing that vehicle as a DUI driver, too.
Oh.
Gordon was a fan of the sauce. It's okay.
Did his time.
No judgment.
On that note, Doug, the voice of hockey. Thank you.
We got to have you back, Doug, before the Olympics, too. I do want to, as it ramps up then, because I think it's going to be crazy. Like, the fact that people are already talking about is big, so I do think, hey, in the next month or two, let's have you back to, really hone in on, hey, these are the guys, once they announce rosters and all that, where's, the buy-sell opportunities for people who maybe aren't in the market yet?
Rosters get announced on New Year's Eve, so that's coming. And then,
next week.
Yeah, and then there is a little bit of a leeway period there, too, in the event that somebody were to get injured and maybe have to be replaced or something. From what I understand, they can make a change, as far as that's concerned. So yeah, that's coming soon. And then you could, like I said, I think there will be a lot of opportunities in the month of January for people to kind of peg certain guys, certain teams, and say, hey, I think this team could make a run. I think this guy has a shot to do something and be front and center for it. So yeah, I think that's obviously going to be exciting. And then the games will get going in February. Mike, I want to mention too, 25-26 Upper Deck, one of the big, you were talking about Bobby Orr right off the top.
My boy.
One of the main young guns. I should say there are only 2 players who have ever, OHL, Major Junior, OHL slash OHA, only 2 defensemen who have ever scored 30 goals in back-to-back seasons in the OHL. Robert Gordon Orr and Zane Parekh, who has a young gun in Series 1 this year. You can get him at a bargain. I think he's a bargain right now. Maybe that's your next hockey PC.
Hey, last hockey note for you. Johnny Busick was at my wedding, so
the Chief, right? That's what they. That's
the Chief. Yep. Oh yeah, his wife Ann. I think she's passed now, but Ann and my mother were very good friends. Johnny Busick paid for the open bar at my wedding. Okay, so suck on that, Joe.
You're rich, Doug. One more nonsense piece.
Here we go. You got to have the last piece.
I have to. So Doug's got one of the smoothest and most beautiful voices to listen to, especially if you're watching
married,
sports.
Dude.
I get it. Doug, can you just give us a tip other than rest? How do you keep your voice at peak level?
So interestingly enough, I think it is just like reps, like anything. And I will say, the beginning of the season, the first week or two, I maybe feel a little bit of strain, but as time goes on, you just kind of get that endurance and you get into your groove and off you go. And at this point, this is my 18th season in pro hockey, my 11th with the Panthers, and I've never called in sick. So now I kind of, the pressure's on that I just have to gut it out no matter what might come my way. When I was working in the minor leagues, would have been the 08-09 season. In the minors, you play 3 games in 3 nights a lot. That's like a routine thing in the AHL and the ECHL. So I was with the Idaho Steelheads in the ECHL, and we got on this road trip and my throat just felt horrible. Missing the game was never an option. So I did the 3 games, felt awful. We got back to Idaho. I went right to one of those, 24-hour urgent care things just because I needed to get prescribed something. And it was determined that I had mono and strep throat at the same time. Did 3 games in 3 nights, grinded it out. So yeah,
flu game right there. That's a flu game performance by Doug.
It was my Jordan flu game. Yeah, it was.
Here's the real test, though. Now that you're newlywed, though, dude, the first time your wife's like, "Hey, I know it's a season. We got a vacation, pal. I got news for you. The streak is broken. If you have any sense in your head, Doug, I don't care what the streak is. You just go on the vacation."
I'm fortunate. She's very understanding, and I love her for that. So
does she laugh at you about the hobby stuff yet? That was one thing my wife was like, "This is a fake world, right?" And then she would see me ripping or buying her brakes. It was like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard."
She'll ask
me on board.
She'll ask the occasional question, doesn't mind it at all. When I have, I've set up at a handful of card shows. So I'd done everything in the hobby for a long time, but the only thing I'd never done was set up at a show. So not this past summer, but the summer before. I set up at a couple. I set up at another one this past summer. It's the Fort Lauderdale Card Show, great local card show here in my area. But she's come while I've been there, and just really enjoyed the environment. So it's been fun to have her there, and she brought her folks to it this past summer as well, so they could see the spectacle that was the Fort Lauderdale Card Show.
Very cool. Hey, Doug, we appreciate it, man. Make sure you guys check out Nonsense on Ice. It comes out every week here on the SCN Network, and Doug's been killing it for us over there. So, yeah, we really appreciate it. Let's do this like late January as we start getting close to the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Hey, Doug is phenomenal, number one. And that question about having the voice, it's something that I'm going to take and I'm going to learn from. Again, I've got perfect attendance for Cut the Nonsense. So, you know, I'm the Iron Man here as well. Danny, you had mentioned to me that you had an opportunity to open an Arena Club pack?
Wyatt Langford. And,
okay.
I thought about holding it for the baseball season. I'm not sure on him as a player. It was an auto. I did sell it back. I thought the price was a very good price, to be honest with you. So I took
What was the
money.
card? What was the specific card?
It was the Bowman first.
Oh, so that's a 2023? He came up with Skeens, didn't he?
Yeah.
His stuff's way down, too, but he still sells good. He had a crazy good rookie
That's what
year.
I thought is it was a good price for his stuff being down.
Yeah.
And if he turns out to be nothing, then I did well. And if he turns out to be something, I took the gamble, you know.
He's going to have to play so unbelievably great, though, to get back to his hype price. It won't matter. So, yeah, so by the way, Arena Club, the code is SCN. That's it, right?
Okay.
I think I'm right about that. SCN, correct, Rebecca?
Not
Jump on here and make
20.
sure.
Correct.
I get this wrong every time. It's just SCN. You save 20% or 25%, whatever it is. They jacked it up on us.
20%
Yeah,
off your
20%
first
off.
purchase.
So yeah, rip anything you want. You can sell it right back immediately if you want to just keep ripping, or you can keep the stuff and they'll ship it to you. So
Dude, keep
there
looking
you
for
go.
those themed packs, too.
Hopefully very soon. We're talking about our 2026 deal. We're going to curate like SCN stuff for them. So we'll see. Sign
Love
the
it.
deal. We'll do it. Joe, take us out of here.
Cut the Nonsense. Make sure that you like us on Instagram, Facebook. We're on the Sports Cards Nonsense page. On YouTube, Cut the Nonsense. Smash the like button. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. We'll see you.